What is going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. In fact, welcome to a live reaction for the third time this season. Here we are. Another signing confirmed. Ismaila Sarr has officially joined Palace. It was long in the making, years in the making. But as always, we want you to get involved. We'll be reacting to that and what that means for his future at the football club, where we think will fit in. So more, what does this mean for players like Rak-Sakyi, Ayu? As always, like, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you do enjoy the content, most importantly, that is, and get involved in the chat. And if you're watching on replay, let us know your thoughts on the signing in the comment section down below. It has officially been announced. I'll quickly read out the official comments, and I'll be going through my reaction to it, your reaction, and we'll be having a normal conversation about Sarr as well as other news. There wasn't much today up until Sarr's been announced, but there's one little addition that we'll mention. How's everyone doing? I know some people were watching the game yesterday, a late night, while I was live match reaction at 3 a.m. And also a watch along. It was fun. So thank you to every single one of you that's done that and checked in with those content. If you haven't already and want to know more about the game, there is a quick summary in the live match reaction that me and Patrick recorded. He was at the game yesterday at around 3 a.m. So make sure to check that out after this. Now, he has signed on a 5-year deal. Palace are delighted to announce the arrival of Sarr. Finally. It's like, I don't know, it's like trying hard for the girl that you want for years and finally getting it. It's like a relief, like, wow, we're actually here. Like, we've got Sarr. Because we've been trying for Sarr for years. But he has signed on a 5-year deal at Watford. He scored 34 goals and had 22 assists. And also, he helped Marseille reach the semi-final of the Europa League, which is key as well. So he's got European experience. We'll quickly go through the comments of the chairman, Steve Parish, saying we have been admirers of Ismaila for some time now and delighted to be able to welcome to the club. Proof there as well with the Sarr links that's been going on for years. Yes, we have been trying for years. As Steve Parish has confirmed, he's a player who has proven ability both in English football and on the European and international stage as well. And I'm confident he'll be a valuable addition to Oliver's squad, which is good. Out of that comment from Parish, all you have to know is he basically admitted we've been chasing him for a number of years. Oliver Glasner has also commented saying we're very happy that Ismaila has decided to join Crystal Palace because he knows the Premier League when he played at Watford and reflecting on his Premier League experience. Knows living in England, of course, and also has had many games with Marseille last season. In every year, in every club where he was, he's always showed that he can score goals. He showed as well as the national team for Senegal. So we are really pleased that he'll be joining the group. Glasner talks about goals and proving himself that he can score wherever he goes. And I'll quickly give my reaction before we get started in terms of where he'll fit in, what we rate the signing out of 10. But yeah, I'm pleased. For the first time in a very long time. In fact, for the first time, if you disagree with me, let me know. For the first time since we got promoted to the Premier League, we're actually looking at depth options. We're bringing in quality depth options. We really haven't. We've always focused on the starting 11, and now we're building a squad. Which, let's be honest, if you want to push for top 10, if you want to become a top 10 club, if you want to have a successful season in both the cup competitions as well as domestic league competitions, then you need to have a squad. And I think Sarr is a valuable addition. Riyad, Kamada, and Ismaila Sarr. I think these are 3 quality players that were brought in that could contribute throughout the season rather than sitting on the bench. 5-year deal shows that the club have massive belief in him. Not only that, as I mentioned, we've been chasing him for numerous of years. And finally, he's through the door. And let's see what Doug Friedman's actually sees in Sarr. I mean, Glasner's, of course, had this approval. Doug Friedman's been chasing him for, as I said, for ages, it feels like. And now that he's here, let's see where he actually fits in. For me, right now, I do think he is Jordan Ayew's replacement. And that's why I am happy with the signing because of Ayew's age. And also, I mean, yesterday, fantastic goal, fantastic touch, and a finish. He seemed like he still got it. But we eventually have to move on from the likes of IU. And if you're telling me we're bringing a younger player with more pace, who can perform at very good levels, by the way. I do believe that with Sarr. He can perform at very good levels. The problem with him, in my opinion, has been that he hasn't been consistent enough. Now, who is the right man to get a player, to get the best out of a player? So far from what we've seen, that is Glasner. He has improved players at Palace. So that is why I'm looking at Sarr thinking, if Mateta's performing like this, if Mitchell's performing like this, can we see Sarr reaching the levels that he has reached at Watford, by the way, playing in England? Can we see that more consistently? And if we do, how many goals, how many assists does he get? Because I do think he's not here just for numbers' sake. But the question is, and you ask me this, and I'll ask it back to you. What position does he play? Where do we see fitting him? He can play down the left, up front, down the right. So he's versatile, which is important, especially nowadays with injuries and just having that option there that a player can step in whenever needed. So I think he will most likely play across that front three. But then there's also this question mark about whether he'll be playing at right back. I guess only time will tell, depending on how Glasner views the situation. But for me, ideally, we still need another right wing back for now. But we'll talk about other positions. Let's see what the chat's saying. As always, if you're enjoying the content, like, subscribe, people. If you haven't done so, it helps the algorithm. Alex saying exciting, which is good. Guy saying great to finally get it over the line. Is Sarr headed towards Tampa for the West Ham match? We actually spoke about this in the live watch along as well. Is it worth, I mean, you could travel today. Is it worth sending Sarr to join with the squad for about 3 to 4 days before returning? I guess it's still valuable experience. I mean, it'll be good for him to join the camp, but it's now Thursday. And I think he has actually been at our training ground over in Beckenham and has been training over there. So I don't know whether he will join them. But I'm sitting in the middle with this, whether Sarr should be joining the team over for the West Ham match, because there's pros and cons to both of it. If he joins them, great. He spends a few days with them. But then again, if he doesn't join them, there's also, it's not the end of the world because we're not there for that long. We'll be coming back sooner rather than later. The dog says, I think we need to keep Jess so Sarr can feel right wing back and right winger striker, maybe add a left wing back, but we don't need another attacker. Fair enough. But I mean, we're saying right wing back, but will he play there? I don't know. It depends on how Glasner views him. We'll be talking about what Bobby said as well. Don't worry about it. There hasn't been that much from Palace news today, but after the Sarr news is dropped, there's some positive updates about future players. We'll be quickly going over that. Shout out to D. Thank you, Luke. I watched your channel for years and believe it's become the biggest CPFC fan channel. No, there's some great CPFC fan channels, but I appreciate the kind words as well. And Mitch is saying, I'd be surprised if they send him to the US for one friendly. Exactly. I mean, travel there, travel back. I don't know if it's worth all that travel for one friendly and a few days. Kevin saying, I got a free kebab today because I spotted a Fenerbahce flag on the wall of the shop and told the owner that Galatasaray suck. That's great. That's better than the Sunnies. I'll be honest. Now you got free kebab and you said the right words as well. Sarr and Kamada are both flexible players. Yes, they are both flexible players. But for now, even though previous reports have suggested that Sarr is not an Elisa replacement, I think with the squad, with all the rumors about players leaving or staying, we expect Ayu to potentially leave, Jesurun to potentially leave. I think Sarr sits as a number 10 option behind Kamada. Realistically, for now, I think that is his role. Saying that, I think that could change over time depending on the players that we bring in, because this is not the end of the window. We are going to be bringing in more players. I'm certain of that. And we are heading in the right direction. We're heading in the right direction for an exciting window. Yes, it's been frustrating at times when it's been quiet for about a few weeks. But look, 1st of August, we've signed 3 players already. We don't have to wait for a deadline day deal. I mean, we have got other positions to prioritize, but we have been doing our business very early on. Eze, so far, quiet, which is good. Gehi, quiet. and there hasn't been any indication that any of our stars are going to be leaving. So quietly, we're having a very good window. We are having a very good window. And we're having a window where we're keeping our stars. I know Elise is gone, but we expected one of these players to leave. For me, I didn't expect it to be Elise, but it's happened. Bayern Munich, he's gone. That's fine. And we've got money to spend. That's the biggest thing out of this. Chad Riyad and Sarr should cost us combined around £26 million. And I mean this. The worst case scenario, we got around 45 million for Elise. That's the worst case scenario based on reports. But it would not surprise me one bit if those reports are just simmered down because Palace don't want other clubs to know how much money we truly have for Elise. I would not be surprised if that is £60 million. So, I mean, we've got still money in the bank to spend on players. And for me, we don't need that many players. As I said, Sarr offers that versatility. Kamada offers that versatility. We need players in the right position. And realistically, we should be able to do that with the money that we have in the bank. So it's looking positive. It's looking very positive so far in the window, even though there's been 1 or 2 weeks that it hasn't been that great. Honestly, I'm not sure about the price. It seems like Marseille gave less and it didn't quite have a promising season in Marseille. The environment matters. We've seen it. We've seen it with Wan-Bissaka, for example. I know Marseille are now just changing the whole squad, but Wan-Bissaka at Palace, unreal player. That's why he went for £50 million. There were elements that he had to improve his game. He goes to Man United, toxic club. I'm not saying Marseille is this situation, but I'm talking about environment in general. Goes to Man United, what happens? He's now getting sold to West Ham for what? 10 to 20 million pounds. And Man United have made a huge loss. Why? Because you have to look after the players. So for me, yes, it might have not been exceptional for him at Marseille. And if he was, then he wouldn't come to Palace for this cheap. But we have seen this player play in England. We have seen this player play for Watford in the Premier League. We have seen him be very good. And now it's about him joining the right environment with a manager who believes in him and a manager that could get the best out of him. So yes, every transfer is a gamble, but for me, with having Glass at the football club, it is not a bad deal at all to sign Sarr for £12.5 million when we've seen glimpses of it. Not glimpses, we've seen good amount of Sarr in England to see the positives and the negatives. The main negative with Sarr is him being consistent. He's struggled. He struggled with consistency. But the main positive is that when he does turn it on, he's a very dangerous player. So my money is basically on Glasner getting the best out of him. And I think that's what Dougie Friedman's seen as well from Sarr over the years. And that's why he wanted him. Because there is a player in Sarr, but it's about the team, the manager finding the best out of him, which is a big struggle. But you never know. At Palace, I mean, 5-year deal as well. Let's see. Do we see Sarr staying for the whole 5 years? Or, I mean, he's still very early. He's just joined today. But what do we think the plan is with Sarr? Because we've seen it with some of the youngsters coming into the football club, buying them for cheap, selling them on for profit. Do we think it's going to be a similar case with Sarr? He's not the youngest player, also not the oldest. He is, I believe, 26 years old. So he's going to be turning 27 during the season. So he's pretty much in his prime. Do we see him staying at Palace for the 5 years? Or do we see Palace trying to flip him over with the price tag, which we can? £12.5 million is not a bad deal. I mean, you can definitely make a profit if he performs at the levels that he should be at. Kevin saying, first window for years that we won't be waiting for final hours and then disappointed. Exactly. On the other hand, I'm thinking about a deadline day show. God knows what we're going to be doing. So maybe keep 1 or 2 things for deadline day. but yeah, I think he should. We shouldn't really go on towards deadline day for it. Let's see. News on Jez just dropped. I'll be checking that out. Where has it dropped for Jez? Should be named Aaron Wan-Bissaka Cat 1 Academy of CPFC. Exactly. He just came here, paid for the academy facilities, and went to Man United, and now he's not great. He's not great in terms of he's going West Ham. Let's see what he does at West Ham. Luke saying we should have given Rak-Sakyi a chance last year. I think he'll be class. We didn't give O'Brien a chance, and look for good he is. Louis saying, let's be honest, if Sarr performs well. He gets loads of interest. Hopefully stays for a long time. Another extended. So do we think that Sarr could potentially get interest and moving from Palace? Is that the goal, or is that, you know, keeping him for as long as possible? Let's see. I'll look at the report about Jez. But what do we? Okay, I mean, talking about Sarr, where he plays, where do we actually see Sarr playing? Where do you guys think he actually fits into Palace? Is it going to be at right wing? When I say right wing, we don't play as wingers under Glasgow system, but a right-sided 10 option, or do we see him being both, you know, maybe striker? I know he can play across all front three, but where do we see him predominantly playing at Palace? For me, I think right now he's behind Kamada as the second 10 option. Now, I mean, we're not talking about Sarr getting poached already. We're just talking about the long-term future of Sarr. What do we think? Why do we think we were so keen on Sarr in the first place? Of course, he's got talent. But do we think that, you know, we could eventually make a profit on Sarr because of his age? He's not the youngest, not the oldest either. So, yeah, we are well protected. Hopefully, there's no release clause. Hopefully, I'm praying to God there's no release clause. If Sarr gets interest, and we'll sell him for a ton of profit. Exactly. So I think it's a win-win situation there. With a transfer fee of around £12.5 million, there isn't that much that you can really lose out on. I mean, yes, there is that gamble, still £12.5 million, but the risk is not as heavily involved. But what do we think now about the Rak-Sakyi IU situation with Sarr coming in? Is that pretty much a confirmation that we will be having outgoings? For me, I think Jordan Ayew should be going now. We might have seen his last goal for Palace in that friendly against Wolves yesterday night or morning, depending on where he was watching it in the world. But I think that opens the door for Ayew. For Jez, I think now it raises a few more question marks. What happens with Jez? Does he stay at Palace? Does he leave? We mentioned a report yesterday with Jez being potentially his head turn from Southampton. But yeah, let's see exactly what happens. And if that is the case, apparently Jez is now with the squad according to Sky Sports. That is positive. Because after we went off stream, I did hear something about, I mentioned it in a watch along as well. I did hear something about it being positive with Jez, and it didn't look quite as bleak as the reports were suggesting. I won't say the information. It's not even the deep information, just in case they don't want me to say it. But it looked well. If that is the case, then what I've heard is it seemed like it's true as well. It seemed like it was more of a precautionary matter rather than just actually his head turning. Then again, why are there reports? Is it Southampton pushing it? Is it his agent? It's a bit confusing. Let's see. If he joins the squad now in the US tour and plays for the West Ham, plays against West Ham, that would be a good move. Hopefully he continues to prove himself. But ideally, I don't think any of us want Jez to be sold. And those reports yesterday were worrying about Jez. Not because he was rumored to join Southampton, but potential conflict in our hands. So it's good that if Sky Sports if they are reporting it, I haven't seen anything myself. If that is the case, then that is positive. Yeah, so that's good. Exactly. That's exactly why now that Sky Sports are saying that as well, that's what exactly I heard as well about him being unwell. So yeah, after the stream, of course, not during the stream. After the stream ended towards the night, I was preparing for the watch along. That's what I heard. So if that's the case, and Sky Sports are saying as well, that's looking positive now with Jez if he was unwell. So I mean, okay, Jez. Let's say the situation isn't as bad with Jez. How do we see Sarr and Jez fitting in? Versatility across the front three. That's what you want. Do we think there's still a chance that Jez stays at a football club, or does he still go out on loan? If he really was just sick, he made me piss myself for no reason. Let's hope that is the case. Vincent, where did you read here about Jez being with the squad? And that was Sky Sports, apparently from Benteke is the GOAT, if that is the case. And I did hear that as well, that he was sick. Yes, Munoz and Lerma stuck at Mexican border and tried to sneak into the US. I don't think that is the case. John saying, back up for Kamada, right wing back, or bring him on for Mateta if we need a goal. Give Jesurun Rak-Sakyi more games. If he's the backup for Kamada, then what is Ismaila Sarr? Where does he fit in? Yeah, I do think Jez probably still goes out on loan, which ideally I didn't want it to happen. I think he still does go out on loan, but it would have been nice to see Jez actually contribute at Premier League level. I'll see what you sent it. If you DM'd it, did you DM it to my guy? Yeah. So yeah, that Sky Sports report is suggesting that Rak-Sakyi is said to be unwell, and is now with the squad. So that is good because over there, when I was speaking to a few people over in the US tour, they did say that after I ended the stream that he was unwell as well. So if Sky Sports are reporting it as well, then that's positive news. Fingers crossed that the future isn't as bleak as suggested yesterday on the stream. Sarr ain't coming to warm the bench. So if he's not coming to warm the bench, where is he playing again? Where is Sarr playing? Is he starting? Is he? What is it? I mean, we're going to have options that are not going to be starting. That's still going to have massive parts of the season. We need to get used to this. Not every player that joins is going to be a starter. And I'm not saying anyone in the chat suggesting this, but I remember with Kamada coming in, funny enough, Elise didn't even, and even Riyadh coming in. There's been a few people with question marks saying, "Oh, who's leaving then? If Riyadh is joining, who's leaving?" We don't necessarily need people to leave. The that we've had all along is we haven't had to. So I don't think he will be warming the bench, but I do think Sarr will be coming off the bench. But he should be playing meaningful minutes, as we've seen from last season to this preseason. With Glasner's system, you cannot just have 7 quality players starting. That is not enough. With the requirements in terms of the pressing, the intensity, and the cup competitions, the league, you need a squad. And we've been missing that part, the squad part. We've had a very good starting 11, but we haven't had a squad. So I think Sarr still contributes well. But he comes off the bench, but he's not a bench warmer. I do agree with that. He should have minutes. Even if we're losing or winning, I expect him to come on. Fresh legs, depending on the situation. I don't think it'll be a case of, oh, if we're losing, that's the only time Sarr comes on. No, it depends on the situation. But I do think Sarr will be having meaningful minutes regardless of results because it just makes sense. It makes sense to bring him on with his pace. Engin saying, when is Eze and Gahey back with the squad? I don't officially know that information, but I'm assuming they should be back after we return from the US tour. So realistically, they will only have one preseason game under the belts. But saying that, we could always have, behind closed door games, or they could potentially join up with the academy lot for 1 or 2 games if we needed them to. But it's good that they're having their rest because it is going to be a long season. It is going to be an exciting season with this edition as well. 3 very good editions. And we don't mind them having a longer break if that's the case. Jack saying, I'll say whoever saw first out of Rak-Sakyi or Ayew, keep the other. Glasner will find a place for them plus good squad there. That's a fair point to make, but I think it will be Ayew. And I want it to be Ayew. I don't think, even in yesterday's reports, the club never seemed like they're willing to sell Rak-Sakyi despite Southampton's bids to try to turn his head. So I think Jordan Ayew will be the player. It has been mentioned that Leicester put in a bid, but we didn't know how much that bid is valued. So yeah, I think Ayew will leave, which is going to be sad, but I think this now opens up the door for Jordan Ayew to leave the club. But it's a step in the right direction. It's a step that we need to take, people. As long as we can keep Rak-Sakyi, if we're getting rid of Ayew, bringing in Sarr, it's a younger player, more pace, and hopefully we can get the best out of him. It is what it is. Sarr will be first 11. Do we think that? Does anyone else think that? I don't think he'll be first 11. For me, Mateta up front, Eze on the left, Kamada on the right. I think that's the front 3. And then Munoz, if we want to and say right wing back and Sarr be an option there, Munoz right wing back. I don't think Sarr will be part of the first 11. Of course, he will come off the bench, but I don't think he will be. But let me know if anyone else thinks that. I didn't think that was even like a discussion point. But fair enough if you do. Evan saying, no spot for Sarr in the first 11. And Kamada is 5 times the player the size, especially in 10. I agree as well. I don't know about 5 times, but Sarr, Mateta, Eze. Kamada, I'm sorry, Spaffy. Kamada starts. I'm sorry, but Kamada starts ahead of Sarr. He does. He just does. That's my opinion. He's more. It makes more sense to have Kamada there as a creative option as a 10. with Eze and Mateta up front. But fair enough. Sarr should come on for Kamada. Exactly. That's why I think it will be the case. Sarr is a direct replacement for Elise. He'll get minimum 15 goals and assists. Reports didn't suggest that is the case, and I don't think he'll be direct replacement. But let's see. John saying I think it's too soon to be questioning France's future. What's going on? I haven't seen the chat talking about France, but France pops up whenever we go on live, to be fair. He's still young and got a bad injury towards the end of the season. This is the season for him to judge. By the way, people, if you're enjoying this, like, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks to every single one of you that's done that already. We're very close to 5,000 subscribers. Daily content, regular content has been popping up. So if you have been enjoying them, all I ask for is like a like. That's it. Just helps the algorithm, just helps spread the word as well to grow the community, which has been growing fantastically. So thank you to every single one of you that has been joining there. Why is everyone underrating Sarr? Are we underrating Sarr? Or are you overrating Sarr? I don't know. I'm asking the question. Let the chat discuss this. Are we underrating Sarr, chat? Or, you know, are we being a bit harsh? I don't think 15 goals and assists, that'd be fantastic. But Sarr's not a starter, in my opinion. He's not going to be a starter. Neil saying, Rak-Sakyi, Kamada, Eze, Sarr, França, Ayew, and an Elise replacement. Even if Ayew sold, how do we balance minutes? Now, let's go through some of these names. Eze is a starter down the left. Kamada's a starter down the right. So that's Eze and Kamada answered in terms of minutes. Now, we have Rak-Sakyi. We have France left and Ayew left. We'll leave the Elise replacement for now. Let's talk about what we have in our hands at this current moment of time. França, the answer to França is he's a backup option to Eze down the left-hand side as a 10 option. So that's France's minutes. So that takes off França, Rak-Sakyi, Ayew, and Sarr. So for me, with the signing of Sarr, I think Ayew is going to be sold. So Ayew gets crossed off the list. In my list, anyways, I think he gets sold. And then Sarr is that 10 option behind Kamada. So that answers that question about minutes for Sarr. And Rak-Sakyi, he goes out on loan. So I think it'll be Kamada, Sarr, Sarr down the right, Eze, France down the left. Ayew sold, Rak-Sakyi goes out on loan. But if Rak-Sakyi doesn't go out on loan, as we've seen, as we spoke about with Sarr, Sarr's got that versatility. So Sarr could play across the front three. So we can still find minutes for them across the front three. Sarr's got that option. So it might be times where it just comes on down the right-hand side. And let's say Mateta's tired and we haven't solved the striker position. Sarr might come on up front. So I think it's a healthy amount. It's a good amount. I mean, some of the names out there. França, for example. France is a player that we shouldn't write off. We shouldn't write off. And I think some people have slightly written him off without maybe meaning to. He's had a very long season last year. He came, well, first of all, when he joined us, he was out injured. And I've said this before, I don't think the manager helped him. I don't think the lack of opportunities helped, you know, when I talk about manager, not Glasner, Roy Hodgson. I don't think Hodgson helped him. And when we talk about opportunities, I don't think he had many opportunities as well. So I think this is a fresh start for França. So I think he'll have meaningful minutes next season. So yeah, I think Sarr will play right. Wing back, says Callum. Fair enough. But then again, he hasn't played there. I think he might have played only one game there, and that was with Senegal. So it just depends on how Glasner views him. Munoz still starts at right wing back anyways. Ayew's position with the Foxes, yeah, I agree. I think he will be leaving. We wanted him for 4 years. When was he going to start? Well, yes, we wanted him for years, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to start. We might have wanted him for depth options. And in fact, if we got Sarr at the time that we got Sarr and we wanted him, do we still go and get Elisa? I don't know. These are questions that it's hard to answer, but I feel like everything is meant to happen for a reason. I think this is the perfect timing for Sarr to come and join us, even though we've wanted him for many years. Remember how we are haunted by injuries. How many of our first team players aren't injury prone? Quite a few of them have been injured last year. I understand the concerns over there. But yeah, that's why we didn't need the depth option, Kevin, and that's why Sarr's a solid addition. So we also have to find a balance. There's no having players there for play's sake as well, and I feel like IU now probably falls down the category. So realistically, there's the door open there for IU to leave, and that is why he has been rumored. He has been rumored to potentially leave the football club. Now, let's get on to the ratings. We've done about 4 shows in the last 24 hours, so I'm not going to stay here too long. I know a lot of you will be letting me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But if you haven't already done so, like, subscribe, and get involved in the chat before we wrap up. Out of 10, how much do we rate Sarr, the signing? Let me know. I'm actually intrigued about this one, because normally with a new signing, for example, Kamada, I've seen a lot of 8s and 9s and 10s. With this one, let's see how much you lot actually rate the Sarr signing. I'll start it off, of course. For me, it's an IU replacement, in my opinion. It's a younger player, a player that we've wanted for years, a player that can offer more pace than Jordan Ayew, a player that we can have long-term depth option that can play across the front three. Is a very solid signing for the price of around £12.5 million as well. My rating for Sarr is 7.5, 8, because I think it's a decent, solid addition to the squad. The only concerns I have, the reason why, you know what, I'm going to land at 7.5. The only question mark I have with Sarr is how consistently can he produce for us at Palace. So yeah, I mean, if he was an Elisa replacement, then my rating changes. My rating goes down to like 5 or 4, because I don't think he's an Elisa replacement. But he's not an Elisa replacement based on reports anyways. And so yeah, that is my rating for Sarr, 7.5. If he can perform consistently, he can easily become a 9 or 10 for us, for the role that he's going to have at Palace. But that is the biggest question mark, and let's see what he actually does. Let's see some of you lot's ratings. I will start with Gabriel. 8, 7, 8. Very good price. They're saying 6. Thank you, K Chambers. Always a pleasure talking about Palace. It's not hard for me to talk about Palace. So yeah, even though the stream's been going on for crazy hours, it's been enjoyable. Twist is saying 9. Kevin saying 8. Kari saying 7.5. Alex is saying I'll give it a 5. I honestly hope for an actual Elisa replacement. But look, that's not written off, by the way. It doesn't mean that this is Sarr coming in. Doesn't mean that we don't sign another attacker. Gaika saying 7.5. Engin saying 8. So a lot of 8s, and 9s as well. Colin adding that he'll be a big player for us. He's going to be a star. We've got our first 10. Jamal is saying 10. Laurie's saying 7. By the end of the season, could be a 9. I agree with you. I think 7.5. End of the season, it can easily be a 9. I think that goes, well, Kamada's not, I can't remember what I gave Kamada, but Kamada could easily be Lerma-esque signing in terms of contribution. So let's see if Sarr can have similar levels of impact. Spiritual saying 9. Amazing signing for me. That's probably because you don't want Ayew at the football club, and this opens up the door for Ayew leaving, because you do not rate Ayew. So of course they're going to give him a 9. Spappy saying 8.5. Philip saying 7.5. K Chambers 8. So there's a lot of 8s and 7.5. So overall, I think we're all happy. But of course, I don't know about you lot. We do need another signing. Hopefully we do sign another player relatively soon, and we don't go to deadline day. But we're going to wrap it up here, people. If you have enjoyed this, like, subscribe. If I haven't answered your questions, sorry about that. We'll answer it in the comment section down below after the stream. I'll be going through the comment section, so make sure to send them there. If you haven't already done so, live match reaction, check that out. That is a quick video, around 15 minutes long, with Patrick. We speak about yesterday's game and also the live watch along from yesterday. But if there's any other updates, you already know we'll be here discussing that. But until next time, up the Palace.